Hi everyone, this is Sudhakar. Welcome to my troubleshooting and debugging channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how a Python programmer, a native Python programmer, can work on an Ansible project. Basically, when you have been assigned to an Ansible project, you are required to run Ansible playbooks, but still you have a provision to write a simple Ansible playbook, but the most of the backend logic can be written in Python so that you no need to write a many Ansible playbooks. You can simply write a very minimal playbooks, but still the business logic can be written in a Python. That's exactly what we are going to learn in this particular tutorial. So in this tutorial, I'm going to explain how you can write a simple, create a Ansible project, how you can write a simple playbook, understanding a Ansible library, how to create our first Python module in an Ansible project, how to call the Python module from the Ansible playbook. Generally, when you execute Python program, it might be required some of the parameters. So how the interaction between an Ansible playbook and a Python module works in order to pass the parameters from Ansible to Python. That is where the whole understanding the library comes into picture. Without further delay, let's get started. In the first step, I will try to find out how to create an Ansible project. So let me type out. And so here, as a newcomer, where I don't know how to create a playbook, I'm relying on a internet search so that I can find out what exactly steps are required to create a project or Ansible project. So I'm going to leverage the documentation provided by the Ansible team itself. Let me search for how to create Ansible project. I can see this is the Ansible documentation where Ansible team provides by themselves. I'm gonna use the same documentation to create this whole tutorial. Here you can see it is simply stating that we need to open a terminal and we need to create a playbook and put the content out of it. Let me do the same by copy paste the content. So I will create a new file called a playbook. YML. It can be in YAML or YML, both will be the ML language. So I'm copy pasting the content here. Now, if you see the host names, it is specified. Basically, in the Ansible world, the host, the key is matching to the a value, which is nothing but we need to create a machine where it is a target machine basically. So this is the target machine where you want to connect by using Ansible. And so in this case, it is expecting a keyword virtual machines for the host. So let me create one more file. Before that, let me go here and let me see what exactly it is showing here. So if you see, when he is trying to run the playbook, he is trying to run the playbook by passing -i argument, and -i contains inventory.yml file. So this inventory.yml file, basically, we can see what is inventory file in Ansible. So define the host and a group of hosts upon which the commands, modules, and tasks can be executed. That's exactly what it means. So let me create one file and let me name it like inventory.yml. This is not mandatory to name like inventory.yml. It's up to you. But when you are executing Ansible playbook command, you need to pass the exact same command. That is the thing we need to make sure. So in this inventory, I need to add a host where I can connect and execute my Ansible playbook. So I'm using the same keyword as a host here I'm using in the inventory.ml file as well. Underneath, I can add the remote server. So I have one of the Ubuntu machine, which I can use to this tutorial. Let me log in and let me grab the IP address of this particular machine. So here it is, 10.0.0.140 is my target mission IP address. Let me paste it over here, or let me type it over here, 140. So I have created my inventory.ml, a simple file, and also I have created my playbook. Now, let me try to execute and see how it will execute or what will happen. So the command would be, I can copy the command from the website itself. So let me try that. So here I need to tweak a little bit because I have mentioned as YML. That's it. So this is the Ansible command. Before you execute this command, make sure you have installed Ansible by executing or by invoking by package manager of the respective system. So here, if you see, it is clearly stating that it is failed to connect to the target mission. But here, the fact is that it is using a DevOps user, which is my current mission user, which is not correct. So how can I pass the username and password of the target mission? Let me find out. So if I see here, I can see there are some options which we need to pass. Yeah, so there's an option called -u where I can pass my username of the target machine and ask password, which will prompt for me to enter a password. So let me add -u and my target machine username and ask for password. Here you go. So I'm entering my password. That's it. So you can see it is connected to my machine and it is just printing the debug message what we typed here, hello message. So this means you can see here the status equal to okay. That means there is no error connecting to the machine and executing the command or task which you performed here. That's exactly what is we are trying. So far, we have seen how you can write a simple playbook. It's a very basic playbook. Now, as we see, our target would be how you can write a Python program, which is called a library in the Ansible world. Now, let me search for what is library in Ansible. I was looking earlier, this is going to directly to the module path or where exactly it is explaining what is modules and all. So here you can see a module is a reusable standalone script in the Ansible that runs on your or your behalf on a target machine or a local machine. Basically, this module interacts with the machine and execute or perform the specific task like changing the database or whatever the action you want. In this particular tutorial or an example in the demo, I'm going to execute a sample ls command. Let's say when I execute ls command here, I get a bunch of output. Let me go to a different path where I have a use files. So you can see here, I'm having a list of files, but I want to process something on this list. I want to get all these files one by one in the form of list, and I want to do some processing. You might have a doubt like, why can't we do the same thing in Ansible? Absolutely, you can do. You can write some a bunch of commands in the Ansible playbook itself so that you can achieve the same thing. But as you're not a expert or even intermediate in the Ansible terminology, but you wanted to utilize your Python programming skills, because in a Python programming, you can do the same task within very less code, and you can in less time you can do the same thing because you are already familiar with how you can process this output into a list. Now I want to do this the same thing in the Python via Ansible invocation. So let me show you how you can write and how you can get the output in the way you're expecting. So here you can see it is clearly stated that a creating module. So it is, though it is highly recommending virtual env, but we are not going to do that. But instead, we are going to do all the remaining steps which is mentioned here. So first, let's get started with creating a library directory in your workspace. So let's go back here. Let me create a folder called library. After that, he's asking me to create a file which name my underscore test.py. And then we need to modify this file inside the file. We need to modify this code. So let me write a simple file called, we can use the same name or we can use whatever name you want. So sample.yml, sample.py, because it's a module. Now we have created our first module as a, we just created a empty file called sample.py. This is our first module. So inside that, first we need to understand what exactly it means. I'm not touching any of this part because this is just a reference document for yourself understanding it. But the most of the part is starting from here. If you see, Python has a provision, or Python already contains a provision for Ansible. Python has a Ansible module, a package available. So you can simply use this single line where you are invoking you are importing an Ansible modules into your Python library. Now, let me create a class called, let's say, a demo class. Inside that, I want to create a constructor where the constructor will take a command, because we wanted to execute a command called ls. So I'm just naming it like a command. That is the one which we are going to pass from a playbook to Python library. Self.command, because it's a parameter. Let me name it like a parameter. Okay, good. So we have created a constructor where we are initializing our parameters. The next step would be, let me go through here. So if you see here, uh, they are creating a function called run underscore module. Inside that, they are writing a bunch of logic. After that, in a main function, they are invoking the run module. We will follow the same. Let me write a main function. And let me invoke the main function as well. So far we have created an outline of a class where you have specified a parameter. Now, inside this class, I want to write one more function, which is a run command. This run command will actually trigger the execution of the command which you sent. In order to execute the command, I'm gonna use a module called subprocess, but let me show you how you can find it out. Execute command or a shell command in Python. So when options, but I'm particularly keen about this. So subprocess.p open. Let me take out this because this will give an output, a written output, so which you can use to further processing. Okay, let me put this in try catch block so that you can catch the output and error if in case. Here it will give, oh, sorry about that. So here basically you wanted to pass a command, so serve command and shall equal to true and blah blah. Yeah, that's it. So process, here you will get two things. One is error and output, and process dot communicate. So we're basically communicating the execution, and I want to return this output and error. Inside the main, we will see what exactly is coming next. So we have written a command to execute. Now let's go back to our run module and see what exactly, how exactly the Python module is receiving the arguments or parameters. So here, define available arguments or parameters a user can pass to the module. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is what you need to have in your library so that when user pass the parameter, you can receive it in the Python library. So here he is using bunch of options, but I don't want all of them. But let me give you an example or overview. So here defining a dictionary of parameters or arguments which he can pass to this module. And if you see here, the required option equal to true, that means you must pass this argument from the Ansible playbook when you're calling this Python sample.py library. Here it's a required equal to false. That means you don't need to basically pass this value. It can be empty as well. And here you can specify what is the default value. So I don't want much things here. I just want a command. So I don't want, it's not a name in my case. In my case, it's a command. So this is how I'm gonna pass the argument as a named command. Now next, this is the result dictionary which he wanted to return, I think. We will come to this part later. Next, the Ansible module object will be abstraction working with Ansible. This includes instantiation and a couple of common attributes. So basically you need this. This is exactly you have imported in the beginning of the file. So you need this because this is where the instantiation of the Ansible module comes into picture. So let me go back and add this particular line over here. You might have a doubt like they have written this whole code under run module, but I'm adding in a main. The reason is I have created a class. From this main, I'm gonna invoke the demo class. So that's why I'm adding the whole logic under the main. So here, this is exactly you are initiating. And here you're passing the module arguments, which are you are passing from playbook. So after that, so here you can see if user is working with this module in only check mode, do not want to make any changes. Otherwise, when the execution happen, you want to return an output, or you want to exit from the library and pass that result to the Ansible playbook. That's where this particular line will comes into picture. So you need this line. Basically, you need this line because if you want to return the output, and this is where you need. All I'm gonna do is I'm also surrounding this with a try catch, so that if in case of success, you can return the success output. In case of error, you can return the error output as well. So here catch exception as E. For in case of error, there is another option. I see here, you can see module.fail. So during execution, if anything fail or anything causes the failure, you wanted to return the failure. So this is exactly you want here. And now we want to catch that result. Okay, so far we're good. So we have capture, we are receiving the module. Sorry, we are receiving the module argument here, and we are initiating the Ansible module as well. But there is something you're missing. You need to create an object for your class, which is a demo class. And then you need to call the function called run command. When you are when you're creating the object for the class, you need to pass the command which you're passing to the constructor. So that's exactly this one. So how you can pass this? Basically, this command is part of module arguments now. So in order to get these module arguments, what you need to do, it's a variable command equal to module dot. Basically, this is where it is. So you can actually simply rewrite this particular line into the form of this way. So let me quickly rewrite this. So basically you can simplify this way, and you can reduce some lines as well inside the code. So you don't need this now. Here you have initialize the Ansible module, and this is the parameter. So in order to extract this parameter out of this module, module dot params dot get. I'm not using params of command, because if I use of command, if in case of value is empty, it will throw an error. So instead, to avoid that problem, I'm using get. Get can handle both the null value or actual value. So here I'm getting the command from module parameters, and this is the command exactly the same as the value I mentioned here. Now this value I need to pass to the class. And then this run command, if you see, oh, I'm sorry, sorry about that. Here I need to add a catch. For now, I'm just reading false. I'm not adding much complication to this project, to this program. So I'm just clicking false. So, and then there is one thing which I'm missing here, think sub process. So I need to import the sub process as well. Sub process. Good. So I'm calling the creating the object for the class, and by using the class, I'm executing run command. Here I will get two things, which is output and error. And if in case of success, the message would be, so here, yeah, this is exactly I wanted to change. So if you see here, when you execute any Ansible playbook, you can see the status change equal to 0, unreachable, failed equal to 0, skipped equal to 0. So this is the status which we need to invoke, or which we need to change based on our execution success or failure criteria. If it is something, you know that something got changed in the system and you wanted to know, you wanted to report it like a changed equal to yes, you need to modify this. Uh, the main idea is, if you see here, we are not changing anything in this particular example. We are just printing a ping message and then printing the message. So we are literally not changing anything in the remote system. But let's say you have executed a playbook where it will install an Apache server or Apache service. That means you have modified something in the target machine. In that case, you need to report it like a change equal to true, right? That's why we can do change equal to true, or we can do change equal to false. Based on that, the status of execution, the playbook execution will vary. So for now, I'm just making change like true to see how exactly it is working. And I specifically no need of that other option. And just message, I can put like playbook executed successfully in case, and then I'm exiting the JSON. This is exit JSON is a graceful exit. That means you have successfully executed the library and you're coming out of it. And the result is the one which will pass back to the playbook from the library. In case of exception, I'm just failing it, failing the library, so that Ansible playbook can understand something bad happened in the library and it will also fail. That's exactly this means. Here, I I don't want to do, sorry, I wanted to change the result so that I will have a custom message for it. So here, change it equal to false, because there is a failure, obviously nothing is executed properly. Playbook execution failed. Or in fact, I can put message as E. So the message will contain the error, what exactly the error that caused the failure. So I think so far we're good. This is what we are looking at. I think in the output also I can return this output. If you want, you can put the output here in the message. Okay, that would be all. So we have written a class and object. Object is executing the command and it will give the output and the success message and exit gracefully. Let me go back here. You can see what else is missing. So we have added all the messages. So I'm not directly copy pasting, but I'm just adding whatever necessary for our use case. So once you see all the code you have written, now let's go back. I think it's accept. I'm sorry, bad about that. Now it is the time to execute a playbook. So let me scroll down here and you can see verifying your module code in a playbook. So here he is suggesting to create a playbook in a directory, is test mode ml. Let me do that. And inside the touch mode.ml, I will simply put the content which he provided. So here we need to change the host because our host name is virtual machines, sorry, identifier. And here our library here in his case, my underscore test is the library name. Yeah, that is where he written the code, my test.py. But in our case, the sample. So let me change it to sample, and our parameters are command. So this is exactly your passing. And this is just a register is nothing but you are just you're getting the output and storing into register variable, and you are just printing it. You can just print it. So instead of this, I can add simply like this way, and test output is the one which I'm printing here. So that would be all. Let me try to execute the command which is providing to execute the library. So here is executing Ansible. So you can see here run playbook. So in our case, we need to pass the username and password, right? So that's why I wanted to execute our command by changing the YAML file, the playbook YAML file. Here it's the test mode. Let me execute. Box password. So here the message sample is missing interpreter line. So there is something wrong that we need to identify. If you see here, the failed equal to 1 because the failed is coming from our catch exception. This is the message. Changed equal to false. If you put here change equal to true, then you will see a different output. I think something else changed. Let me debug that. So this is exactly I wanted to demo here how when something goes wrong, how you can debug the message errors and all. That's exactly my motto of this particular channel as well. So we have written pretty much from from the documentation. It seems something else is failing. So message is module sample is missing interpreter line. What exactly it means? So some way something we are making mistake. Oh yeah, if you see here, I have missed this Ansible module. If you see in this example, it is import Ansible module. That's exactly what we see. I don't know. I actually copy pasted, but somehow it missed. Perfect. Now we have seen a different error. Unable to import sample due to expected except or final block. Ah, I'm sorry. Here again, it's accept. I'm sorry about that. So this time it seems a different error, and it is showing something like a self is not defined. So we can debug these kind of errors for sure. So somewhere we are missing a self command. Perfect. Okay. I think this is the problem. I mistakenly put the self in the class itself. That is not correct. So we now have different error, which is meaning cannot unpack non-iterable bool object. Your request failed. Okay, I think here is the problem. I have a different value here and here is different. You got the problem, right? So basically here the command spelling is mistake. That was the causing error. That's all. So if you see the command executed successfully, and if you see here, changed equal to true, failed equal to false, and message equal to some binary. It's a byte format, I think. So some byte format is coming. So let me see. The command is hello. I don't think there is a command called hello. So let me change the command to ls and let me try to execute again. Yeah, so you can see here, I got the output from the sample library and you can see change equal to true, failed equal to false, and the message equal to, that's exactly we're printing. So in our case, we are printing our output. This is the output, message output from the run command. So here the exit JSON return this result in the form of this way. And here you can see is change equal to true. And that's exactly is reflecting here, change equal to true. And the message is the output of the command. Let me do one more change. So here we can do, we are navigating into a different path and then trying to execute ls command. So this time the output should be different because we are executing ls from the temp path. Yeah, perfect. So you can see here, the output is different now. So we have bunch of files in the temp path. It seems like a format is a little tricky. So you wanted to pass. This is exactly you want to utilize your Python skills rather than Ansible program or Ansible commands. So because in a Python, you pretty much good at Python parsing the data. So here basically you can see it's a byte format. If you want to see what exactly the format, it's a str type. So type of the output. I'm going to print the type of the output to see what exactly the output type. Okay, here you can see clearly it's a class bytes. So I wanted to convert the output which is coming from the sub process. So I wanted to convert this into a string format first. So how can I do that? I think I need to decode this. I need to decode the output. Uh, how I can do decode into ASCII format. So in this case, I no need to put like this. Okay, I think that's fine. So let me try this and let me execute. Yeah, perfect. You can see here now this is a different format than previous one. Let me try to see what is the type here now after decoding. So every time I'm passing this password here, you might be you need to pass the password, your password for the remote mission. Yeah, this time you can see here the class is string. If it is a string, you can do a lot of options. So I wanted to split this into a list. I want to split this output into a list. So how can I do that? So I can use in the Python a split option. As I see, there is a differentiator, which is /n, which is a new line character. So I can use a new line character as a differentiator to split it out. Perfect. So if you can see here, the output is pretty much a list format. The split will do conversion of the string into a list based on the differentiator you provided. So that is exactly I'm receiving here. So this is exactly what I was trying to explain as a Python programmer, how you can utilize your Python skills to parse the data. You may not need always a Python library, but most of the stuff you can do if you are very excellent or very good knowledge on the Ansible itself. You can achieve the same thing in the Ansible playbook itself. But if you're not sure how to do that in the Ansible, but if you know how to do that in the Python, then this approach would be a faster and quickest way. I think that would be all for this session. I hope you guys are learning something from my fun from this particular tutorial. Glad that I help you, and thank you.